What's up, gamers? Wait. There you go. So yeah, this genre has been, been pretty big for a while now, I'd say, of just commentary over Minecraft gameplay. I mean, in one form or another, it's always been popular, but I feel like the old school sort of, just play a game and record your audio is that's more or less unrelated. It's trying to make a comeback, I think. I remember when I was younger, I would watch. There was one guy I would watch who played Super Mario Sunshine. He definitely wasn't appropriate for my age, but I liked him nonetheless. But yeah, I mean, when I was that, I was watching like Stampy and DanTDM. This guy does Minecraft. Well, I never watched guys Minecraft. I was watching popular MMOs. But yeah, I feel like that this genre's definitely a comeback. So thought I'd throw my hat in the ring and just type out whatever is on my mind. So what's on my mind is child labor and why I think it's actually awesome. So, we have a lot of issues, and this is going to be basically America-centric video because that's where I live. Maybe in the country you live, it's not really necessary, but I feel like that in America there's definitely an issue where people feel like, oh, I don't have any money, can't afford our house, blah blah blah. And, we can blame a million things for that. We can blame a million different things. We can blame Bush. We can blame Reagan. We can blame a million different people, a million different things. But I feel like that there's something else to blame, and that's the fact that kids just don't have the right to work. I mean, it's. We all know that investing early, is great. You invest early, and your interest can compound or whatever. But the thing is, when you're a kid, you don't have any money. You may have a small allowance that parents give you or something, but aside from that, you got nothing in terms of money. And so, I don't see the issue with a 12-year-old or so. Sweeping the floors of a Walmart or some other retail establishment for $5 an hour. Sure, probably more than that because if children were to enter the workplace, I think their wages would probably be bid up quite a bit, considering they can, they're youthful, they can, they have more energy, than say a 40-year-old janitor who's been doing it for 20 years. And what that kid can do with that, let's just go on the low end here and say $5 an hour. They can buy whatever they want, literally whatever they want, or maybe even their parents could set it up to for every $5 to make $2 or $2.50 go towards a savings account that gets interest. And then by the time that they're 20 or so, or it really depends if they want to go to college or not, but if they want to go to college, then they can continue to just sit on it for a little bit, live with their parents for a bit longer. But if they want to go and work and get some crappy apartment in the city, whatever large city is near, we're not even in a city, but stereotypically that's where you're gonna find an apartment. It's hard to find apartments in rural nowhere places. Trust me, I've tried. And I work retail, and I get I'm not gonna say how much I make, but it's a bit above minimum wage. And I'm not joking when I say that probably a 10-year-old could do it. It's not hard. I'm not a cashier. I'm basically probably the best way to describe it would be I'm a glorified janitor. It's not at all a hard job by any means, but it's a job that I think anyone could do. And I was thinking, like, one day I was thinking, like, why couldn't I have done this when I was 10? Like, why couldn't I? Like, I don't even work with dangerous materials. Like, I barely, if ever, touch bleach. Like, that's just how much of a simple job it is. It's really just like clean the bathrooms, take out the trash. And if a customer makes a mess, clean it up. Because that's more common than you would think it is. Some customer will come in, or typically a child will come in and make a mess, which, I mean, it's not a huge deal. Typically it's cleaned up within like 15 minutes or so. And a lot of times I'm bored, and I'd rather do it than not. That's just me though. But like, yeah, like I think like if I was 10, like I could have done this pretty easily. I might complain about it a little bit. That's just the type of kid I was, but don't really see why I couldn't have done that. I made like $8 or make as much as I'm making now and put like, I don't know, $2. Let's see, so like if I'm working like 5 hours a day, $2 an hour, like $10 a day, working like 2 or 3 days a week. Like that's a decent amount of money, especially if we consider, putting it into a savings account where it can make money. And I feel like there's people want to like. I think like the typical argument would be like, oh, but you wouldn't have had childhood. You wouldn't have had like gone out with your friends after school and whatnot. But like, I never did that. I live in a rural place where, I would have to drive to see my friends because they live miles away. And it's not like I could do that anyway. I don't have a car. I'm 10 years old. I don't have a car. I can't drive. Like I only ever started having my friends come over to my house when I was in high school. We'd play D&D, and sometimes do school projects, and that was fun. I do miss those days, but that's the point. But what was I doing when I was 10? Like when I came back home from school, I would watch TV. I'd either watch TV or play my DS. That's what I would do. I came back home from school. I didn't really have a whole lot of homework either. My school didn't really do homework as much as we did studying, which you were expected to study. And the only thing I ever studied for was spelling, because wasn't bad at it. I just didn't have like a natural talent like some other kids had. Spelling was definitely a big issue. Well, I would say a big issue, but I did well, but I just had to work hard at it. I was thinking, like, why couldn't I have worked like 3 or 4 hours a day? Like, not even like 5, but like, what the? Is there an armadillo? Maybe okay, I'm not gonna kill it. I don't even know. It might attack me. I don't know. I don't think it will, but that's new. I haven't played this game in a hot minute. But yeah, like when I was 10, like I could have gone in and swept the floor, took out the trash. I just weren't capable of doing that. I mean, that's pretty much what I did anyway in terms of chores. But yeah, like, I mean, I don't really see why. I feel like people want to like dumb down kids a lot and make it to where like, oh, well, they have no agency. In some regards they don't. In some regards they are stupid. I definitely was I'm not gonna say I was a particularly intelligent child. I mean, I did well in school, but I wasn't like, that was just because I was forced to study a lot. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people want to dumb down kids and make them like these little babies who can't like make decisions. In some ways they can, obviously. Like, obviously you can't give a mortgage to a kid. But because they don't really understand they probably don't understand like the long-term impacts of that. Like, but like we have a lot of people who, especially on like the quote unquote left or liberals, say like, okay, like we need immigrants to work all these jobs and nobody wants to work because we have such a highly educated population. Which, I mean, okay, I think that's a reasonable opinion for the most part, but I feel like I think it'd be far better if it's just like let kids do it. Like, I mean, like, obviously, like, I'm not sure if an 11-year-old should be a cashier, but like, I don't see why a 15 or 14-year-old couldn't do it. Be a cashier at like a 7-Eleven. It's not hard. I'm not gonna say it's particularly. I'm not gonna say it's like unskilled, easy work either, because like obviously it is. It is mentally draining for some people. I know that, like, I feel, even though my job isn't, particularly physically exhausting. I mean, except in brief spurts. I think a 10-year-old could definitely do my job, and like you don't have to go through all the trouble of increasing immigration to do it when like we have a native population who would be much better suited towards doing it because like there's no language barrier or anything. Yeah, I'm not. I'm just saying I think that is an alternative to having immigrant workers. Because like a lot of times they don't speak at the English, so. But like I spoke decent English when I was 10. My job doesn't even have me interacting with people that much. Like, as I said, I'm a glorified janitor. So yeah, and also like there's this, as I said before, like everyone wants to dumb down kids, make them have no agency when, like, obviously if a kid doesn't want to work and they want to like go play football or something, maybe for us, go play football, kid. I don't see the issue. Go and have fun, enjoy your life. Nope, didn't mean to do that. And like we also have the issue of Social Security and how it's. I mean, Social Security is basically a Ponzi scheme. Let's be honest. But I mean, if you really want to keep it, then I think a good option would be just let kids contribute. Let younger people contribute to it. Because if our issue is like, we don't have enough people contributing to it and more people taking out of it, well, I mean, I think inflation's going to do something about that, like, obviously. Whether good or bad, I'm not quite sure, but yeah, like, I think, if you really insist on keeping Social Security around for whatever reason, then, like, let kids contribute. And like even have parents, like, oh, well, like, what if a kid just wants to spend all their money on bubblegum, or video games, or whatever? And my answer to that is they have the right. That's their right to do that. If it's their money, they're making money, and let them blow their money. I'm sure it isn't. Sure it isn't the good thing to do. Obviously, it should be encouraged. Too high, I almost died. But like even their parents could like make it to where like this percentage of the money goes towards savings or whatever. Not saying you should mandate that, of course. Let kids do what they want. Eat food. But yeah, like also there's also the issue of having kids is more and more expensive. But and I feel like it definitely could be less expensive. A kid could to a certain extent pay for themselves by working. Have like this much go towards the parent, have this much go towards the kid just bullying it on whatever, and have this much go towards savings. You could definitely set up something like that. And like there's also like the issue of what if the parent decides to take all of the kid's money? Like, well, in that case, the kid could always just stop working. Like, I mean, you can't force a kid to work. You can't whip them, force them to work. Dear Lord, there's no food out here. I'm just gonna have to wait inside. Maybe I can do some mining. I don't know. Just gonna have to wait. I have some flint, I can make a bow. But yeah, but like, yeah, if a kid just, you know, but like if the parents are taking all their money, then like the kid could say like, okay, well, screw this, I'm not working then. Like, am I gonna work for nothing, or am I gonna work just so my mom can, I don't know, blow it on whatever? So yeah, that's my epic take. Like and subscribe if you're cool, and if you're not, then please dislike the video. Can we please reach 50 dislikes? That'd be so cool, guys. That'd be so awesome.